Most people set goals based on what they want to do or what they hope to achieve. They say things like, I want to lose weight, or I want to make more money, or I want to be more confident. But the problem with that approach is simple. It focuses on outcome, not identity. And outcomes without a shift in identity rarely last. If you want lasting transformation, especially over the next 90 days, you must go deeper than action and step into who you are becoming. The difference between someone who maintains long-term habits and someone who falls off track after a few weeks is often tied to identity. Think about this. If someone identifies as a healthy person, their behavior naturally aligns with that identity. They don't need to force themselves to eat clean or go to the gym. It's not about trying to be disciplined. It's who they are. The actions flow naturally because the foundation is set internally. Now compare that to someone who still sees themselves as unhealthy, but is trying to diet or exercise out of guilt or desperation. Every action they take feels like resistance. They're forcing behavior that conflicts with the image they hold of themselves. It's temporary, it's draining, and it eventually fails. They snap back into old habits because those habits are consistent with the identity they haven't let go of yet. For real change, you must flip that switch. You have to stop asking, what do I want to achieve? And start asking, who do I need to become? Your brain is wired to be consistent with who you believe you are. So when you choose an identity, deliberately, when you say, I am someone who finishes what I start, or I am a disciplined leader, your mind begins to scan for behaviors that match. Your actions, decisions, and even emotions start to realign. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about claiming the next level of you before the world recognizes it. Because if you wait for external proof before you own that identity, you'll always be behind. You'll be reacting instead of creating. Position. Identity must be declared before it's evidence. Just like an athlete steps into the game believing they're a champion before they win the title, you must own your new standard before the results arrive. Let's make this practical. If your goal is to become financially free, don't just focus on making more money. Begin acting like a financially free person now. That means learning how to manage your current resources, making decisions with long-term vision, and eliminating impulsive behaviors that sabotage progress. The identity of a financially free individual is disciplined, intentional, and focused, not someone who just hopes for a bigger paycheck. If your goal is to become more confident, stop waiting for external validation. Start behaving like someone who already respects themselves deeply. Speak up, make eye contact, take action before you're ready. Confidence is not a gift you wait for. It's a behavior you embody by deciding that you are already enough. Every breakthrough you want requires an identity that can hold it. If your habits don't match your current identity, you will either upgrade your habits temporarily or subconsciously sabotage your success. Your mind always fights to stay aligned with your self-image, even if that image is disempowering. That's why people get uncomfortable when they start making progress. It feels unfamiliar. It clashes with the story they've told themselves for years. So how do you shift identity practically over the next 90 days? Start with language. Words shape belief. Stop saying things like, I'm trying to, or I'm not good at, and start affirming the new version of yourself, not in some fake fluffy way, but as a commitment to who you are becoming. When you wake up each day, speak the identity before you act. Write it down, journal it, visualize it, condition it, then build rituals that support that identity. Rituals are your proof. They are your way of aligning action with belief. If your new identity is, I am a focused, powerful leader, then how do you start your day? What do you tolerate? What do you say no to? The answer to those questions are how your identity becomes visible and sustainable. Don't wait 90 days to be proud of yourself. Be proud now for choosing, for showing up, for becoming. Because once the identity is solid, the habits become easier. You don't have to convince yourself every day to take action. You're no longer forcing behavior. You're expressing who you already are. Your emotional state is the gateway to every decision you make, every action you take, and ultimately every result you create. Most people believe that success is simply about setting goals and following through, but what they overlook is the invisible force that drives everything, your state. If your mental, emotional, and physical state is not in alignment, even the best strategies will fall apart. You can have the best plan, the clearest vision, the perfect checklist, but if you're in a state of hesitation, stress, or self-doubt, none of it will matter. Think about a time when you felt unstoppable. Maybe it was after a great workout, a win at work, or a powerful conversation. In that moment, you felt aligned. You had clarity. You were decisive, energetic, and bold. That's the power of state. It amplifies your intelligence. It increases your resilience. It drives you forward with force. But the mistake people make is thinking this state shows up randomly, as if it's a mood or some external gift. In truth, it's something you can create on demand if you train it like a muscle. Your state is not just mental, it's physical, emotional, and biochemical. It starts in the body, posture, breathing, movement. These are levers you can pull at any time to shift how you feel. When your shoulders are slouched, your breathing is shallow, and your movements are sluggish, your body is telling your mind to shut down. On the other hand, when you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with purpose, you send a signal to your brain. I am ready. I am strong. I am focused. This signal alone can change your decisions in seconds. That's why managing your state must become a daily ritual, not an occasional reset. Every morning, before you check your phone, before the world pulls you into distractions, you must prime your state. Spend 10 to 15 minutes deliberately moving your body, breathing deeply, and focusing your mind. This is not just a motivational practice, it's preparation. It's how you take control of your day before circumstances control you. It's how you anchor yourself to power instead of reacting to pressure. Now combine that physical priming with emotional focus. Direct your attention to what you're grateful for, what you're excited about, what you're committed to. Emotion is created through focus. If you start your day thinking about problems, you'll feel stress, doubt, and anxiety. But if you intentionally focus on what you have, what you can control, and what you're building, you'll create a state of certainty. And certainty is the emotion that drives leadership, creativity, and courage. You don't have to feel motivated to take action. That's a myth. What you need is to get into the right state. Because when you're in the right state, action becomes natural, clarity becomes effortless, your best ideas surface, your confidence rises, and you show up fully. Whether you're making a sales call, leading a team, working out, or having a difficult conversation, your state will either empower or sabotage you. Let's be clear, this isn't about pretending to be positive or ignoring reality. It's about commanding your internal environment regardless of the external one. You can't always control what happens around you, but you can absolutely control how you show up to it. When you train your state daily, you become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone. You lead the energy. You become the person others look to in moments of uncertainty. Over the next 90 days, this will be one of the most important disciplines you can develop. If you condition your state every morning, physically, emotionally, mentally, you'll not only perform better, but you'll start to rewire how you respond to life. You'll develop more grit, more focus, and more emotional agility, and those qualities compound. They build momentum. They separate you from the version of you that reacts from fear and delay. In moments of challenge, return to your body, shift your breathing, change your focus, speak differently, move with more power, interrupt the pattern. You don't need to wait to feel ready. Readiness is a state and state is a choice. The more you train this choice, the more natural it becomes. Mastering your state means mastering your performance. No matter the conditions, it puts you back in control. It makes you proactive instead of reactive. And over time, it forges the mental strength required to turn temporary effort into long-term transformation. The quality of your life over the next 90 days will not be determined by massive one-time actions, but by the small rituals you commit to daily. Most people chase motivation. They wait for energy, inspiration, or the right time to act. But those who truly transform their lives understand that motivation is unreliable. Rituals are not. When you build rituals with purpose and consistency, you take control of your outcomes regardless of how you feel on any given day. Rituals are not just habits. A habit is something you do often. A ritual is something you do with intention. There is emotional investment, presence, and meaning behind it. For example, brushing your teeth is a habit. But if you take time each morning to stretch, breathe, and mentally align with your goals, that's a ritual. It's done with clarity, not on autopilot. And that difference in tension is what gives rituals the power to shape your identity, energy, and trajectory. When you commit to the right rituals, you start building momentum. And momentum is what creates breakthroughs. Over 90 days, even small, simple rituals can completely reshape how you think, feel, and perform. The challenge is not finding which rituals to follow. The challenge is committing to them no matter what. Rain or shine, busy or tired, inspired or bored. The consistency of your rituals is more important than their complexity. The first type of ritual that changes everything is a physical one. Your body is the foundation of your performance. When you start your day by moving your body, whether it's a workout, a walk, stretching, or breath work, you shift your entire system. Your heart rate rises, your blood flows, and your energy activates. This physical engagement signals your brain that it's time to wake up, focus, and produce. It's more than exercise, it's preparation for the day's challenges. If you skip this physical ritual, you carry the weight of sleep, distraction, and sluggishness into your work and your relationships. But when you build this into your morning, you gain control. You don't have to wait for energy. You create it. And once your body is activated, your mind follows. That's the power of physical rituals. They initiate mental clarity. The second category of rituals is mental. These are the moments where you intentionally guide your thoughts and focus. Journaling, visualization, reading something inspiring, or reviewing your goals are not just nice-to-have practices. They are alignment tools. When you invest even 10 minutes in the morning to decide what matters today, what you're grateful for, and what you're building, you override the chaos of the world and enter a zone of clarity. Without mental rituals, your mind is left open to randomness. The notifications, news, and noise take over. But when you anchor yourself first, you become proactive. You operate from vision, not reaction. You start the day owning your direction instead of chasing it. That clarity compounds. After 90 days of focused mornings, you will look back and realize that most of your success came from how you started each day, not how many hours you worked. Then there are rituals that support your mission. These are the daily actions that build momentum in your career, business, or personal growth. This could be writing for 30 minutes, making 5 sales calls, practicing a key skill, or learning something that sharpens your edge. These rituals are where you prove your commitment to progress, not through talk, but through action. Even 15 to 30 minutes of mission-driven work every day creates separation. Most people operate in spurts. They go all in for a few days, then fall off. But those who succeed over time are the ones who show up consistently, even when it's inconvenient. That consistency is what makes progress inevitable. It's what builds confidence. You no longer rely on motivation because your rituals carry you through. A ritual done with full presence has far more impact than a distracted, rushed version of the same action. That's why it's important to protect the quality of your rituals. It's not just about checking the box. It's about connecting with the purpose behind each one. If your ritual is journaling, don't just scribble thoughts. Reflect. If it's exercise, don't go through the motions. Breathe deeply. Push with intention. If it's focusing on your goals, don't skim them. Visualize them as if they're already real. The more emotionally involved you are in your rituals, the more powerful they become. They start rewiring your identity, reinforcing the belief that you are a person who follows through, who honors their word, and who creates results. You begin to see evidence of transformation, not just externally, but internally, through how you carry yourself, how you think, and how you respond to obstacles. Over the next 90 days, the rituals you choose will either move you closer to the life you want or reinforce the one you're trying to grow beyond. Choose rituals that challenge you. Choose rituals that stretch your standards, and most importantly, choose rituals that align with the future version of yourself you've already committed to becoming. Progress is often misunderstood. Many people believe that success is built through perfection. Flawless days, zero mistakes, and constant motivation. But that belief creates unnecessary pressure and leads to burnout or procrastination. In reality, success is built through consistency, not perfection. Progress is what matters most. If you show up each day, take action, even if it's small, even if it's messy, you build momentum. And momentum is far more powerful than perfection ever will be. Over the next 90 days, the goal should not be to be perfect. The goal should be to be present and persistent. There will be days when you don't feel like doing the work. There will be moments where doubt creeps in, where things don't go according to plan, where life throws interruptions your way. That's not a sign of failure. It's a test of commitment. Those are the moments where growth happens not in ideal conditions, but in your ability to stay in motion through the mess. The reason people give up is because they've attached their self-worth to flawless execution. So the moment they miss a workout, skip a journal entry, or fall off their plan, they say, I failed and quit. But missing one day doesn't erase your progress. It's not about being perfect, it's about not quitting. One off day doesn't define the journey. What matters is what you do next. Do you reset? Do you recommit? That's where the power is. This mindset shift, choosing progress over perfection, allows you to build emotional flexibility. You stop judging yourself so harshly. You stop expecting every day to look the same. You begin to see effort, consistency, and course correction as part of the process. And that perspective frees you. It allows you to grow with more ease because you're no longer trapped by the unrealistic expectation of doing everything right all the time. Progress also looks different depending on the day. Some days, progress will mean taking massive action, finishing a project, making big decisions, pushing past resistance. Other days, progress might mean simply showing up and doing the minimum required to stay in motion. Both matter, both count. What counts most is the direction, not the speed. Are you moving forward, even slightly? That's what builds confidence. That's what builds mastery. When you start to track progress as movement rather than achievement, you start to feel successful more often. That sense of daily victory keeps your energy high and your mindset strong. It builds self-trust. You begin to believe I'm someone who keeps going. And that belief becomes a cornerstone of real transformation. When you know that you don't have to be perfect to win, you become dangerous in the best way. You become free to take risks, to fail forward, and to learn faster. Another key to embracing progress is to measure backwards. Instead of constantly comparing yourself to where you want to be, look back at where you started. Reflect on how far you've come. That backward measurement reinforces growth. It reminds you that change is happening, even if the finish line isn't yet in sight. And when you do this regularly, it fuels your internal motivation. It keeps you emotionally engaged in the journey, which is where real power lives. This approach also creates emotional resilience. When you value progress, you're more patient with yourself. You bounce back faster from setbacks because you've already accepted that mistakes are part of the path. You don't need things to go smoothly. You just need to keep going. That mindset makes you steady, and steadiness beats intensity over the long term. The truth is, perfection is often just fear in disguise. People wait to feel ready, to feel certain, to have everything lined up before they act. But that's not how growth works. You become ready by taking action. You create certainty by doing, not thinking. Every step forward, no matter how imperfect, teaches you something valuable. Every moment of discipline, even when it's small, strengthens your identity. You're becoming someone who follows through, not because conditions are perfect, but because your commitment is real. There is no perfect day. There is only today, and the decision to do what you can with what you have. That might mean a powerful breakthrough, or it might mean a small win that keeps your streak alive. Either way, you're building something meaningful, not through intensity that fades, but through daily choices that add up. So over the next 90 days, stop chasing perfect days, instead chase consistent days. Celebrate the effort, track the action, refocus when you slip. The path to transformation isn't clean. It's full of setbacks, comebacks, and moments where you show yourself what you're really made of. And in those moments, real growth takes root.
Accountability is the force that turns intentions into results. Over the next 90 days, you will face moments of distraction, doubt, and discomfort. That's a guarantee. But what's not guaranteed is how you respond in those moments. That's where accountability comes in, not just as a system, but as a mindset. When you adopt personal accountability, you stop outsourcing responsibility for your outcomes. You stop waiting for the right time, the right feeling, or the right circumstances. Instead, you take full ownership of your growth, your actions, and your direction. Most people are casual about their commitments. They say they'll change. They say they'll start. They talk about their goals, but they treat them as wishes instead of promises. Accountability changes that. It transforms a goal from a hope into a non-negotiable. When you're accountable, you treat your word like law. You follow through not because it's convenient, but because you've made a commitment. To yourself first, and then to others if needed. It starts with how you speak. When you say, I'll try, you leave yourself an escape route. When you say, I must, you anchor yourself to action. Language shapes behavior, that internal contract. The decision that you will do what you said you would builds integrity. And integrity is not just moral, it's functional. It gives you power. When you know that you can count on yourself, your confidence grows. Your trust in your own ability rises. You stop second guessing and start executing. But accountability doesn't have to be a lonely process. In fact, one of the most powerful forms of accountability is external. Sharing your goal with someone you respect, or even someone you don't want to disappoint, raises the stakes. It's no longer just about you. There's now a layer of visibility that adds urgency. It's not about guilt or shame, it's about leverage. When someone else knows your standard, you're more likely to live up to it. This is why coaching, mentorship, or even accountability partners can be game changers. They aren't there to motivate you. They're there to remind you of who you said you wanted to become. They help you hold the mirror up when you want to look away. Sometimes all it takes is a weekly check-in to stay aligned. That conversation forces you to reflect. Did I do what I promised? If not, why? What needs to change? That kind of consistent review keeps you honest. It's also important to create systems of self-accountability. You don't need to wait for someone else to check on you. You can build rituals that force reflection. Daily journaling, weekly reviews, and habit tracking are simple but effective tools. When you write down what you did, what you didn't do, and what you need to improve, you bring awareness to your behavior. And awareness is the first step to change. Some days, your motivation will fade. That's normal, but if you have accountability, you don't rely on motivation. You rely on structure. You rely on the commitments you made during a higher state of clarity. This is how you bridge the gap between discipline and desire. When desire disappears, discipline keeps you moving, and accountability is what strengthens that discipline. Another key element is ownership. Accountability isn't about blame, it's about control. When something goes wrong, the accountable person doesn't point fingers. They ask, what could I have done differently? That question puts them in the driver's seat. It gives them agency, and that sense of control is empowering. It's how leaders are built, not by avoiding mistakes, but by owning them, learning from them, and moving forward stronger. Over time, the habit of accountability creates a new identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who does what they say, someone who follows through, someone who doesn't need external pressure to do what's necessary. That identity becomes self-reinforcing. The more you live in alignment with your word, the more powerful you feel. You're no longer chasing confidence. You're building it through consistent action. If you want to transform over the next 90 days, don't just focus on goals. Focus on accountability, set standards, track your behavior, speak your commitments out loud, reflect on your progress, ask hard questions, and most importantly, take ownership every day, not when it's easy, not when it's fun, but especially when it's hard. That's where character is forged, that's where breakthroughs begin, and that's how change becomes permanent. The next 90 days can be a turning point, if you decide they will be. Not through waiting, not through hoping, but through decisive action. Change doesn't happen because time passes. It happens because you choose to show up differently in that time. Every day you commit to the process, you're shaping your future. And it won't be the big, flashy moments that define it. It'll be the quiet discipline, the early mornings, the small choices that compound over time. This is your opportunity to stop drifting and start directing. You've laid the foundation with intention, state management, ritual, progress, and accountability. These aren't just ideas, they're tools. Use them, apply them, build your mornings around them, rebuild your confidence with them. And remember, you don't have to transform everything overnight. You just have to stop breaking promises to yourself. Do what you said you'd do. That's how trust is rebuilt. That's how momentum begins. There will be resistance. Life will interrupt you. Doubt will whisper in your ear. But those aren't signs to stop. They're signs that you're doing something worth fighting for. The discomfort you feel is not a problem. It's proof that you're growing. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Let it sharpen you. Let it shape the next version of you, stronger, more focused, more aligned with what matters most. Stay committed, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's not. That's when transformation truly begins. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is closed by action, not intention. So ask yourself every morning, who do I need to be today? Then be that. Not for others, not for praise, but because you've decided to live a life of purpose, power, and progress. And if you slip, and you will, don't collapse, recommit, reset. One mistake doesn't cancel out the mission. What separates those who grow from those who stay stuck isn't perfection. It's the willingness to start again, again, and again. That's what builds character. That's what builds results. Let this 90-day stretch be the season where you stop reacting and start creating. Where you stop playing small and start stepping fully into your potential. The world doesn't need more people waiting for the right time. It needs people who decide that now is the time, and back that decision with bold, consistent action. You have what you need. Now it's about what you'll do with it. Start today, keep going tomorrow, and 90 days from now, you won't just have better results. You'll have a new standard, a stronger identity, and a level of belief in yourself that can't be shaken.